preaching in Cheltenham, God the Lord came down amongst us.
Yes.
Whitfield rarely preached without unction and the power of God. You can read the testimony of his life. God came down. What does this mean? Number one, it is a consciousness of the presence of God, the Holy Spirit, literally in the midst of the people. When God called me to preach in 1969, in the month of February, there were 80 men in the meeting. An old preacher by the name of Robert Rash got up to preach. His topic was "To God be the glory." And his text was that familiar passage, "For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever." 10 minutes into his message, there wasn't one man left in the pew. We were all on our face before God. You felt as if it was only you and God and nobody else. Amen. The man I rode over with was a very godly pastor. He planted a church and pastored the church at that point in time over 40 years. He was lying prostrate right beside me. He sounded like he was a mile away. His voice was so faint. But every man was on his face before God. God had come down. God had come down. When God came in the great revival in Korea back in the early 1900s, even the lost people cried out and said, "The Christian's God has come. The Christian's God has come." You think God could do that again? Shake your head up and down.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
The Welsh revival of 1859. There was something extraordinary, they said, had happened. They said that the Spirit so come that it seized upon people, the mass of them. Said some of them were rejoicing. Others were in terror because of the presence of the Lord. It's like heaven on earth. It's like time is forgotten altogether when God comes. I was reading the other day in 1 Samuel, chapter 4, verse number 7 says, "The Philistines were afraid, for they said, God is come in to the camp." It is a consciousness of the presence of God the Holy Spirit literally in the midst of the people.